Welcome back. Rose and Pros, fourth episode. Want to reintroduce ourselves. My name is Lizzie.
I'm Randallito.
This is my lovely husband, Randall. I don't know what that came from. We're a little weird, you know, and this is our show where we talk about The Bachelorette and we talk about romantic literature and you know, all of the issues that men bring into the world, like toxic masculinity. No, I'm just kidding. We talk about a lot more than that. Love, how we meet, dates, fun stories.
Sad stories. Heartbreak. Loss. Let's dive in.
So last night, Bachelorette, Jenn, and the guys traveled around Australia from Melbourne to Auckland. And she had a one-on-one date with Sam M., the redhead, where they were supposed to jump off a building and do a skywalk. And Jenn pretty quickly was adamant that she did not want to jump, that she has a immense fear of heights.
Yeah.
Which, sidebar, last episode she jumped out of a plane. But I guess different heights.
She said it was different because instead of like that rush of jumping and then seeing it kind of close, she said it's just a constant drop.
Yeah.
So.
And like buildings all around. And Sam made the decision for her that they were going to jump. Like the waiter asked, "Would you like to go do this?" And he said, "Yeah, we're going to do it." He didn't even consider her. He didn't ask her what she thought. He just said, "Yeah, we're going to do it." Tell me more.
I disagree with that reading, and here's why. Is because as the star of the show, The Bachelorette knows more or less generally what's going to happen. You cannot tell me that this is the first time sitting on the top of a building that is known for this that she's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that this was even an option. Get out of here with that." And on the basis of what has been going on for the last several weeks, where she has been pushing the guys past their comfort zone, making them do things that they so clearly do not want to do, when this is turned around on her, and she has said multiple times that she's here for the thrill, he says, "We're going to do this," and she's suddenly like, "Oh my gosh, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like that." And it's like, wait, not only have you been doing that yourself, but you've been pushing everyone else to do that.
No, but she always asks. She's like, "Hey, what do you think about this? Are we going to do it?" Waits for the other guy, like Marcus, and they jumped out of the plane. Whereas Sam was like, "You want to do," like Sam didn't say, "You want to do this." He just said, "Yeah, we're going to do it." All right, we can talk more about Sam M. So, I don't know. I did not feel like he was consoling her. And Jenn said that. Like, "I am terrified. I don't see it." And you could see in the video, like, she's freaking out and he's like 5 feet behind her, not saying anything. If that was me, like, I know, I have told you I would like to maybe go bungee jumping if we go to New Zealand, because that's like what you do in New Zealand. And I know that I would be terrified. But I know that you're my hype man, and I would expect you to be like, "Babe, I know you got this. Like, I'm right here," you know? And he wasn't giving her that until, at least the editing made it look like, until much later. And then she was like, "Okay, fine, I got what I needed out of him." Like, I needed his reassurance. But
she got what she needed out of him, and then she was fine.
Yeah.
So then she got back, and then she went on a date with Devin.
Yeah, there was a group date in there, but I gotta be honest, I don't remember what they did in the... Oh, they played rugby.
Very forgettable.
Yeah. But Sam N...
Not Sam M, the redhead, but Sam N, the guy who has never dated previously, and last week in the stripping episode made a big deal out of declaring his love for her. which she was not on board with.
Yeah. She did think it was sweet, so he, like, ran ahead of everyone else with the trophy. He put the trophy on the couch so that someone else couldn't sit next to him. Like, it was all a little, like, grow up, man, is kind of how I felt. And then this is the thing I don't like, they all cheers, and before she could even take a sip or cheers the other guys, he took her and said, hey, can I take you away? Which she did say yes, but she paused to take a sip and toast people. And he gave her his rugby jersey, and it said Sam's wife. And in my head, I'm thinking, you should have put your last name if you specifically wanted it to be you, because she's probably thinking Sam M. So
Truth.
He caused some ruffled feathers, for sure. And then, yes, she went on a date with Devin where they got to experience the culture. And then have also conversations about their own cultures and what they want to bring into their futures, which I thought was, like, meaningful in terms of the conversations that we hear. Like, it does actually matter when someone is thinking about marrying someone. Like, how do you want to raise kids if you want to have kids? Yeah. Like, what are your faiths? And I thought that was really interesting that it appeared Devin seemed really open to the fact that Jenn is Buddhist and has traditions that she wants to bring in. Mm-hmm. And although they, she has some daddy issues. What do you think?
I'm letting you continue. You're summarizing right now.
I think I'm ready. What do you think about her?
So what about Sam N and his statement that he wanted to kiss her? This is another week where he's trying to go big, and he went big, and baby, he went home. Yeah. He asked, "Can I kiss you?" And she immediately shut him down and said, "Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and walk you out." And he's in the car saying, "I'm so confused." And I got to tell you, he is literally the only person on the planet who would have been confused by this, because the signs and signals, they just were not there. She was not on board with this. He had completely misread the room and had misread the advice of other guys who were saying, she is just not into you like that.
Like, it's been 4 episodes, which means roughly 3 to 4 weeks. And you haven't had a spark of a moment in any of your conversations where she's wanted to kiss you. And she has been making out
with a couple of guys.
She's going to kiss you.
And he's asking for permission. That's great and everything. Like, I respect that you're wanting to be noble, but the signs and signals, they just were not there. And so he asked, "Can I kiss you?" And she said, "I think I'm just going to go ahead and walk you out." It's kind of sad in a way.
What do you think you would have done if you said, "Can I kiss you?" and I said, "I'm going to walk you out"?
Well, I mean, we've all been there, right? So, would not be the first time. I think that in week 4, I would have just said, I can respect that. If it had played out in that same amount of time, I would have said, yeah, okay, I can respect that. And I think I would have gone my separate way.
Yeah. Shout out to Bachelor Data. Before last night's episode, she posted the data on, like, how many kisses guys have had. And Sam N, Thomas N, and one other haven't had a kiss yet. And usually that shows you, like, who she's not interested in. So, and we've seen some drama with Thomas N. They seem to have more of a friend connection, so I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas goes home next week. So this week didn't end with a rose ceremony because dun dun dun, her ex-boyfriend showed up in Auckland. Did you like that sound?
I did, actually.
Dun dun dun. So her ex-boyfriend showed up in Auckland. He apparently paid on his own dime to come from Cartagena, Colombia, and professed his love to Jenn and was like, Jenn.
Which was very confusing because the way that he was talking about it, it sounded to me, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounded to me like he was saying that they were supposed to be at the wedding together, and then of course she became the Bachelorette, and her schedule took a very different direction. But he showed up, was talking as though they were supposed to be at the wedding together. She seemed, I mean, she was saying this as well, like, oh my gosh, you left both of the weddings. Apparently there were two weddings. And so I'm assuming friends in their orbit. And he says, yes, you know, I forget how he kind of kicked this off, but it was more like, it gave him time to think, you know, seeing their friends getting married. He realized that he didn't want to see her with anyone else. He showed up, he declared his love. And she goes, you know, well, you should have said this like before I became part of this. As the story is unwinding slowly, I'm sure that there's a lot that they did not want to reveal on cameras. It seemed like they were both editing themselves. But apparently they've had an on and off again, more on than off, for the last 3 years. And so he was saying, you know, I love you, you're the person for me. And she's like, where has this been for 3 years? Which I think you need to kind of pause on that and ask, what's been going on for 3 years between the two of them that, one, she would be thrown off on this, and two, that he hasn't said anything to that effect? Like, what has been going on with y'all?
Yeah, I am weary when people are like in on again, off again relationships, especially when they then are like getting married. I'm like, unless it's, you know, that your lives aren't in the same place. Like if there's something you're going after in a different city and it's like long distance is too hard. But like, I don't know. I just think like there's a reason you were off.
Right.
And you should probably like listen to that.
Right. I was in an on again, off again for a couple of years there. And by the end, I was just tired. I mean, it was very clear that the person wanted to get back together for another round, and I had already boxed up their stuff and met them at the door. I was like, I think we are done here. We have nothing left to say.
First time.
Yeah. I think you should really just like trust that. Like if y'all are on again, off again. The drama, gotta say, love the drama. On again, off again, lots of drama, love it. But yeah, I mean, there's probably a reason why y'all are going your separate ways. So
yeah. So we didn't get a rose ceremony because he showed up on rose ceremony day. So next week's episode will start with the rose ceremony, or like him, you know, them deciding, is she going to allow him to stay? Because that has happened before, not necessarily like a former boyfriend, but like people have come from former Bachelorette seasons and said, I want to date you, and sometimes they've allowed them in. I'm thinking of Katie Thurston and Blake, and she ended up getting together with Blake. Like, that's who she chose. They aren't together anymore, but so that happens. Like, the show allows someone to come in if they want, but I think, you know, if she allows him to come in, the guys are really going to have an issue with it. And hopefully, I would think in a protective way. Because again, if you were on again, off again, there's a reason you were off. I don't know.
So here's the diving point. We're about to dive.
What do you want to talk about?
We're going to dive into something deep here. Okay. Here is what I was noticing throughout this episode, and I think that we have been talking about this for the last couple of episodes, the last few weeks of the show, is just the level of insecurity that we are seeing from this cast. One, Jenn has said that she's insecure, which I think that there is a baseline, at least this is what I imagine for most people, there's a baseline of insecurity, of wondering, am I enough, am I too much, kind of working that tightrope. And I think that Jenn has admitted that. For me, and this is my opinion, this is my read, I don't say this in a judgmental way. I think that she is a lot more insecure than she is acknowledging in front of the cameras. And I think that that makes sense. I mean, we would... This right here, this camera, there's a lot that I won't share because we don't know one another like that. And I think that she is probably doing what is right for herself by not disclosing all of her insecurities. But here's what she has said. Just in this last episode, she has indicated that she has daddy issues. Several of the guys have indicated that as well. Devin, when they had their time together, Devin was saying that he also had issues with his dad. And rather than kind of frame this as one example, rather than frame this as having daddy issues, I would try to normalize that. Because I would say a lot of people have what we call daddy issues, and what that really is it's a father wound. It's a father wound, it's a mother wound. There is something there from that you are just raised in, and you know, as a child, as a teenager, as a young adult, as an adult, you know that this is not the way that you are wanting to orient your life, and that creates a wound. Now, that doesn't mean that there was abuse. Maybe there was. Maybe it was mental or psychological or emotional. I certainly have that myself. I have that in my own life, and I have to name that, okay? But I also want to normalize that and say that a lot of us have a parental wound of some sort, and that is not where it ends, however. What we are seeing is we are seeing examples of that, of the guys coming into conflict with one another, just the way that they talk about one another and they talk about themselves. To me, it seems very clear that they are very insecure. For example, when Sam M and Devin are in the room together, whether the producers are stirring that up or whether it is naturally coming out from these two people, it just seems like they immediately clash. They're just clashing every single time they see one another. And my question as a viewer, my question is, what is this really about? Because it's not about Jenn. Like, whatever this is about, it is about a personality difference. Sam M has seen someone like Devin and is bringing that, is transferring that to Devin, and Devin is doing the same thing. And I think to some extent, Sam M is provoking it. He's stirring it up. He wants the conflict. He may not be able to articulate it like that, but I think that there is something there that he is thriving in, and that is also an expression of that insecurity, because when you're continually reacting to someone else in the ways that Sam M and Devin are, come on now, that's not about Jenn, and that's really not about the person standing in front of you. Again.
Sorry. I'm curious, like, how much of it is age, though? Like, these guys are, at best, mid-20s. Like, I think she's maybe 26. Is their prefrontal cortex still developing? Like, you know, whereas other seasons I've made you watch with me, they're maybe closer to 28, 29, that they're further along in their lives, whereas, I don't know, I feel like some of these people, they're like basically out of college, it feels like. But maybe that's us, because we're old watching the show.
Speak for yourself. I'm not old. 42 is not old. 42 is the new 32, and 32 is the new 22, so I'm practically 22 right now.
So I'm 26 is what you're saying?
Yes, you are the older woman. The point is, though, is that we are seeing multiple expressions of insecurity, and I think that there is something worth examining there. As viewers, like, why are we attracted to this drama? Why is this a recurring thing that is exploited on the show? And also, really, what does this say about how we are seeing relationships? So, one of the ways that I start off my romance literature classes, I talk about the difference between Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. And in the Bronte's literature, so we're talking about Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, there is the high degree of drama, but these people know one another. They know how one another ticks. They get one another. In Jane Austen's literature, we don't have the high drama. What we have instead is two people who are getting to know one another. And so there's less drama because you're not pushing those buttons. You're not pushing on those insecurities. You're not tapping into things that have been going on for years and years with one another. And so as readers of these classics of literature, as cultural consumers of this narrative, we will probably naturally gravitate to one of these two narratives, either the high drama where you know one another, or the low drama where the conflict is really a process of getting to know one another. I think that you and I have certainly had that, is that we come from very different places, and a lot of the conflict that we have had is the process of getting to know one another, not the opposite, where we know one another so well and so we're pushing buttons. I think that is something that we're seeing played out here on this show as well, and something that as viewers we should probably pay attention to is what, not only that we are observing drama and insecurities, but what type of drama, what type of insecurity are we seeing played out in front of us. And I think that is just something that we need to keep an eye on going forward in the next few weeks, because with this episode, we're starting to put skin in the game. We're starting to know one another. We're starting to talk about those insecurities and those wounds. And so how is this going to play out in the next couple of weeks? My suspicion is that someone like Devin is going to push a button. He's going to push a button with Sam M. And my suspicion is that Sam M, with the little bit that he knows, it's not going to work out well between him and Jenn, because he does not know Jenn and Jenn does not know him. There has been no conversation between the two of them other than, oh my gosh, I'm scared, which I think anyone would have a level of fear when you're 53, how many stories was that? 53 stories high, and you're being told to walk the perimeter outside.
On the other hand, I think it is very clear that she has deep feelings for Devin and vice versa. I am really, I was not sure about Devin before, and I think because he's not someone I would ever have dated. But you were not like Devin.
I'm very much like Devin.
No. But I do see some real strong feelings forming there that I think things are changing. So we'll have to see next week. Do you think that she's going to let the boyfriend stay?
The way that the ending of that episode was framed, I think that he will be at the rose ceremony. I don't think that he'll be in the episode. So
yeah, I can't imagine. I think she has too many strong feelings and probably not enough positive feelings for him that she's going to let him stay.
Yeah.
But we'll find out next week.
Looking forward to next week.
See you then.